So we are on to bag G, page 11. So let's start by getting our sway bar. So we are going to run the 1.7 in the rear and the 1.9 in the front, and the out of the box configuration says 1.5. So we're going to swap out for which probably is our thickest sway bar for the front. So that is our 15. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our 1.9. Okay, the way this works is the large dash is 1.5. And then each extra small hatch is a 0.1. So the 1.9 is the 1.5 hatch plus 4. Then we have plus 3, plus 2, plus 1, and then of course the single 1.5. So we are running our stiffest front sway bar. And let's see, our little inserts. We're going to go for the A block. Let's see. Okay, A block is our forward-most block with this little little key here, and we need center. Okay, so that is our A block, and for them they have it at the bottom, so they are putting in less caster. This build has more caster, and in our let's see, mark off my sheet here, and up. We're going for center up for the B block. Okay, so here is our B block, this being top, and here is our A block. I'm going to use a slightly shorter screw because I just don't think it's necessary. Let me show you where I'm going with this. They are calling for TRX 1049, which is a 20 millimeter screw length. Okay, now I've got in here right now a 12 and a 10. As you can see, the 12 has more thread into the plastic than there is passing through this metal block here. If we look at the 12 millimeter, it's almost double and a half the thickness of the aluminum going into this plastic. I think that's overkill even for this one. Here's what it looks like with the screw they want us to use. That is how much thread is going to go into the plastic. So it's going to go in up to there. That's far more than is needed. I don't know why they're doing it. If there was something else being bolted on here, I would say great, but there's not. So I'm going to use a pair of 10s. And I'm confident that that will be enough. And then some. And I'm not trying to skimp to save weight. I just don't think it's necessary. And it will save a little weight. Not much. Fractions of a gram. The main reason is it's just, where's the benefit of putting an inch of thread into a piece of plastic when 3/16 will do just fine, or 3/8, excuse me. Let's go ahead and get our grub screws in for our bump stop. This has been a very quiet build. I'm not doing a lot of talking, mainly because everything is going so smoothly. I'm not coming across anything that involves any kind of trickery or anything that's kind of, off or weird. Everything is just going very smoothly. It's a very easy build. It's very intuitive in its design. Really liking it, and I think we're gonna have a good time with this down the road. So let's see how we're okay. That needs to be reamed out. It's pretty good, but I want to get it a little better. Very nice. Let's just check this side before we do anything. But yep, it needs it. Excellent. Now, we head in. This is rearward. So is this. So we got that going. That's going to be plenty. I think we need to go with the slightly longer. Looks like I'm going to have to use the ones out of the box. Those are way long, but so be it. Now, you don't need to tighten those down because it can't go anywhere. Just once it gets to snug, you're done. Let's think about shims. And they've got all four to the rear. Well, all three, excuse me. And the build I'm following has 1 and 1. So the two halves at one end and the 1 millimeter at the other. And we don't need anything else in there. So now we are on to bag H. So let's start by cutting out our parts. Might be easier to get this lined up by putting in the cup like that and pulling that in like so. You see how that just slid right in versus the other one that was a little tricky. Now this is a place where I didn't have the sheets, the build sheets yet to choose from, and let's see. Okay, we have 3 of these steering arms available. The parts are right here, actually 4 of them, A, B, C, D. And then we have 2 of these possible shims, 1 millimeter and 2 millimeter. And that's interesting. It shows us, I'm going to have to zoom in on this when I edit. Okay, we have our carbon arm, our steering arm, where our ball socket is going to attach to. And they show this spacer above it. Now, having that above it does no good at all other than to possibly protect the carbon fiber. And they show it again here, plastic above carbon fiber screwing into plastic. So the carbon fiber is sandwiched. Now, what's the point of having 2 thicknesses of this plastic piece if it just sits on top like a washer? It doesn't come into play. The only way it would come into play is if you put one underneath And I think that's the way they've got this set up here. Okay, and this is clear to read. They show as a stacking order. So you would have one above always, and possibly one below to raise that. Now that's going to change your Ackerman and bump stop or steering stop settings, but or bump steer, excuse me. So they don't, I don't recall coming across any other shims like this. So what I'm assuming is that the stock build is, yeah, there's no underneath shim, and they're using B. Now, we could buy more of those, stack them underneath to raise that arm in relationship to the steering knuckle, and then still have one above. So now the build that I am emulating uses part A, not part B. So to follow this, I need to order a new pair of these. And he's got nothing beneath. He's got 0 below it, below A. So I wouldn't need to buy any extra of these, but it would probably be a good idea to have them to be able to tinker, because the other build sheet has part B, which is what comes stock, and he's running a 2mm shim underneath. So that's something that that I would need to order. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble this with the parts that I have, but as soon as I'm done shooting this segment, I'm going to hop on the computer and I'm going to order up part B and, or excuse me, is it A? Yeah, part A. And I'm going to get another set of these in 1 and 2mm. They probably come in pairs, or they probably have a set. It's such a small piece of plastic. They probably give you the 1 and the 2mm and for both sides. So, and then of course I'll get another one of these. So let's figure out how this is going to go. Okay, so looking at that, we're going to have these pieces here, and then the spacer on top. And they are recommending the, well, I'm just going to go with the old eye. And let's see how a 10mm looks, because this is something you want to be sturdy. So the 10mm is going to go right to the bottom. There won't be any thread sticking out, but it'll be right there, maybe a little sticking out. So I'm going to go ahead and use 10s, and then when I get the other parts, I'll swap up to a pair of 12s to account for the extra spacer. Now be careful when you tighten these down, you don't want to strip the plastic. So as you can see, I've got this right there. The 10mm screw is the perfect length for the stock setup. Now let's see. Now they give us a little compatibility chart, spindle arm compatibility, and this has to do with the type of wheels that you're running, the offset. So if you're running the stock hex, you can run A, B, C, or D with Traxxas short course wheels. Or if you are running Associated's stadium truck wheels, you can run those with D. So these are more about providing clearance than they are suspension tuning as far as making things handle differently. And they give us the arm lengths, what's different about these. And it's 16mm A, B is 17, C is 18, D is 19mm. And I'm going to have to do some measuring. I would hope that there are other wheel options. The stadium truck wheel option is actually, well, see, that's a problem. I wonder how, they don't mention TLRs, because I'm just building a TLR stadium truck and I've got several sets of wheels. It would be nice to have some cross-platform compatibility, but I don't think I'm going to be that lucky. Okay, this is an update on the wheels situation. According to the chart, you've basically got two choices. You've got Traxxas short course wheels, and you've got Team Associated's stadium truck wheels. Now, ideally, I would go with a short course truck wheel instead of a stadium truck, because you've got a different inner and outer diameter tire. If you're familiar with short course tires, the inner sidewall is much shorter than the outward facing sidewall. Big deal. Stadium truck seems to be the best way to go, because the Traxxas short course wheels, as far as I can find, does not have a flat face or dish type wheel, which is what you want for racing. The spoked wheels, someone did a study on those. There's an issue with air flowing through the spokes when the wheels are turned. Don't ask me for the physics on that. I don't know. That's just what I heard. In any event, I would prefer to go with a dish type wheel anyway. There's less stuff gets caught up in them. I just think they're better. In any event, Ford Motion. So Traxxas is out. So now you're down to Team Associated stadium truck wheels. You don't have to buy Team Associated product. You need a Team Associated compatible offset wheel. Now, here's the advantage on this. The wheels for Team Associated, a pair of those wheels are $11. On the same website, a 4-pack of J Concepts wheels is $13.75, and they come in white. And they might come in yellow, but I don't see that offered. And DE Racing for $14.50 has 4 packs of 2.2-inch wheels in their Speedline name. They're fairly recent release. That may be an old article, though. In any event, DE Racing makes a Team Associated compatible stadium truck wheel that they sell in 4 packs, and it's available in like a fuchsia pink color, a bright green, orange, black, white, and yellow. Now, black is tempting because you usually don't see black wheels on off-road vehicles. I'm actually going to do something a little different. Normally, I would buy all the same color, but I think I'm going to buy a couple sets of a set of orange and a set of yellows for my first two sets. And I was already planned on doing my car body with like orange front, yellow rear color combination with some patterning and whatnot. But that way I could do like the front wheels in yellow and the rear wheels in orange. And that way I would also know which ones were which, especially when I'm running things like slicks. I wouldn't have to like marker them up or something on the inner sidewall. So I would know that these are front tires versus rear tires. And that's always a good thing to kind of know when you're reusing tires. Still thinking about black, making my decision, but I'm going to go with the DE Racings because for $15, less than $15, you get twice as many wheels as you would buying the name brand team associated wheel, which isn't going to be any better. And you're going to pay to get four of them, it would be $22. Whereas the DE Racing or the J Concepts wheels, you can get four of them for $13 to $14.50. So much better price. But all that's up to you. But those are basically your choices: is regular associated wheels, the DE and the J Concepts. I didn't check Proline. Proline may make a compatible wheel, but just like J Concepts, they're probably only going to offer them in white or white and yellow. And I have spent enough time simmering pots of tie-dye to color my own wheels. I love it when a manufacturer offers wheels already in colored plastic. So this way I don't have to deal with that. In any event, I wanted to give you this information at this point in the video. I'd already filmed all of this and I was making my decision on wheels and I cut this. I also mentioned in the video, a little text, that chart at the top of the Bag H page where you've got the steering arms, that chart is not, I repeat, not in the downloadable manual. I didn't check elsewhere in the manual. I checked the page previous and before, and it's not there. I don't know why they removed that from the PDF version. That's extremely important information. Also, I highly recommend that you order a set of the D arms. There's A, B, C, and D arms. The kit comes with B. D is compatible with the stock hex, a +1 and I think a +3 but it is compatible with all the different options. You can run D, CD, or BCD depending on the hex, but the D arm is compatible with the associated wheels regardless of which hex size you're running. So that is your best bet, to use the D arm. And they're about $11. So I would order that right away, because when people figure out that you're going to need that arm, they're going to start selling out fast. So get yourself a pair of those. Again, $11. And if you want to get the spacers that go above and below those little plastic spacers for $11 or $12, let me see. I'm getting mine on A Main right now, and just check the shopping cart. For $9.99, I'm getting the Tekno adjustable Ackerman spindles. So it's a pair of the spindle blocks with extra parts, the shims. So that way you'll have all the shims you're going to need forever and ever, and you'll have a spare pair of spindles in case you break one. for 10 bucks. So get both of those. But I will measure them all up and see how it goes. And then I will order my parts as needed. Hopefully they sell a package where you can get A, B, C, and D all together. Because it would be nice to be able to use whatever wheels you have, plus be able to change hex sizes and widen or narrow the track. Okay, there is our two hubs. Now, they don't mention anything about their wheels, but I'm personally not a fan. The wheels they have are like a replica wheel, so it's kind of spoked, if you will. And I don't remember who did the study, but it was a pretty extensive testing, and it was done by one of the manufacturers. Wheels that don't have a solid dish, wheels that the air can pass through, especially on short course trucks, had some adverse effects when cornering, because the air tries to pass through the wheel, and don't ask me. I just heard there were issues, and so I have always gone with just flat-faced wheels. So now it's time to put these axles together. Good to have some paper towels handy for this process. Let's go ahead and get our wheel locks going. Might as well get these going right now while I don't have grease on my fingertips. As I mentioned in an earlier part of this, or the last video where I was doing the rear axles, this is a very high wear area here. So put in ample grease. Okay, screw in these little grub screws. Don't screw them in too far yet. They're going to be used probably to anchor the spindle pin through here. Actually, those are probably only halfway pins. They don't go all the way through. They can't because of the axle. And then we have that one hole here, and that is a bump screw. These are basically limiters to how far the car can turn in either direction, and they are optional. I would recommend using them. It says there are some washers available. I doubt those are needed, but it depends on how the car is set up and the type of track. I would just screw them all the way in for the time being. Anytime you see red text, take note. Probably something important that you should do. Like, for example, they say that we should pre-thread these holes, and that's these, and that's probably a good thing to do. Some kits I have pre-threaded a lot of the holes with an electric screwdriver because of how tight or how firm the plastic was, and it just made it easy to do the rest of the assembly. You can really heat up the plastic and the screw itself, so something to think about if you do pre-thread stuff. You got to let it cool a little bit after, especially if you're using an electric screwdriver. And the heat can damage the metal. It can make it more likely to break. So I can already see how these pieces go in. There's threads missing. And the grub screws that we just put in are going to clamp up against these and allow these to be the rotational part that goes through the steering. Sorry, vocabulary's failing me. The steering block. Now this is where we need to watch our orientation on things. Let's see if they have any nomenclature on here, like an L or an R. Negative. Okay, that's easy enough. So the LRC is going to face forward. So that would be this piece like that. And we're going to take one of those. Let's see. That might work a little better. Okay, hang on, hon. Okay, so just to be clear for you, we have these special pieces here, and this area where the threads are flattened off is where those two grub screws are going to bite into, here and here, like that. So the flat area, the smooth area here near the top, that rotates inside this portion here and provides our pivot point. So now I need to do this side. Well, before I screw those in, I should tighten these grub screws down. Now, you don't need to make them really tight. You just want them to touch down on the metal and get a little bit of bite. But you don't want to risk deforming the threads and then not being able to get them out properly or have issues. So also, carefully, when you get these tight, you want the piece to move, but you don't want it to have flex and be bound. So it should be able to move easily. At the same time, it shouldn't jitter or bounce. I think I used the longer grub screws here on these hexes when I should have used the shorter ones. So I'm just going to swap those out right now. You'll notice the difference in length, and if the one on the hex is too long, it's going to keep the wheel from sliding on properly. Let me just show you the difference. Okay, as you can see, this one is nice and down in there, and there's a flat surface here for the wheel hex, whereas this one is standing up, and we don't want that.